Hello and welcome to Building Python Skills for the Job Market. This is Roxana from Real Python. If you're learning Python and wondering what to actually focus on to land that first developer job, this course is for you. The problem that most learners run into is that there are endless things you could study: web development, data science, testing, automation, and without a clear direction, it's so easy to spend months on a topic that won't move the needle on your job search. That's why in this course, you'll learn how to plan your Python learning strategically so you can focus on the skills that will get you a developer job. By the end of this course, you'll have a clear picture of the skills employers actually look for, an honest assessment of where your skills stand today, a focused learning strategy built around real job market demands, and a weekly practice system so that you can go from scattered studying into making real consistent progress that still feels achievable. Instead of guessing what to learn next, you'll walk away with a concrete, personalized roadmap that looks like this. This document tells you exactly what employers value, assess your current strengths and gaps, and structure a routine so that you know exactly where to focus on your time. So if that sounds exactly like what you need, in the next lesson, you'll learn about the different developer paths available to Python developers. When you're learning Python, it's tempting to just follow whatever seems interesting. A bit of web development, some data science, and maybe even some machine learning. And that's a good idea at the beginning so that you can see which area you're most excited about and you decide in which one you would like to specialize in. But if you continue like that, before you know it, you've been studying for months and you're not actually closer to getting that developer job, which is the goal. Usually, developers become proficient with the basics first, and then they choose one area to focus on that matches their interest or background. So before you open another tutorial, you need to make one decision. What kind of Python developer do you want to be? The most common paths are web development, where your daily work would be about HTTP, databases, web frameworks. Web developers are categorized between backend, frontend, or full stacks. Another common area is data or analytics. This involves analyzing and visualizing data and building insights from data to make business decisions. Then we have machine learning, which involves training models and working with artificial intelligence pipelines. Then we have test automation, which is about writing automated tests to help teams ship software confidently. Once you've chosen your path, the next question becomes, what does the market actually expect from someone in this role? And that's exactly what you'll find out in the next lesson. Now that you've chosen a developer path, you'll need to answer one simple question. What does the job market actually reward right now? And to understand that, you'll have to do a little bit of research. Open any job search platform like Indeed or LinkedIn in your browser. So here you can see that I have Indeed open. And let's say that you're interested in machine learning engineer positions. So you open 5 to 10 current job listings about machine learning engineer positions, but you could also be interested in the role of Python developer, backend engineer, data analyst, QA automation. So as you read through this job ad, you'll start highlighting the technical requirements that appear repeatedly. So if you're looking at machine learning job ads, you'll quickly start finding that they ask for proficiency in Python, R, or C++, PyTorch, TensorFlow, or other machine learning frameworks. As you do this research, you'll quickly start to notice patterns. For web development roles, they often emphasize frameworks like Flask, Django, FastAPI, along with database knowledge, REST API design, and also JavaScript, HTML, and CSS. For data science positions, they usually require libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Polars, and Matplotlib, and also an understanding of statistical concepts. For machine learning jobs, they usually also ask for PyTorch or TensorFlow. And for test automation roles, they likely require familiarity with frameworks such as Selenium, Playwright, or Scrappy. And even though the requirements for these roles look different, they all share the same core. Almost every job expects you to understand Python fundamentals deeply, to know how to use version control systems like Git, and to be able to write your unit tests and debug problems systematically. And it's usually considered a plus when you have familiarity with DevOps practices and cloud platforms. These concepts matter as much as knowing any specific framework. Lately, job postings also expect familiarity with AI coding tools like GitHub Copilot, Gemini CLI, Cursor, Cloud Code, or Codex. Employers want developers who can use these AI tools productively, but also to keep judgment, review, and validate AI generated code. Because nowadays AI tools are handling the more routine coding tasks, employers are highly interested in developers who can think at the system level. That means understanding how components fit together, designing scalable architectures, and making trade offs between approaches. The reason why these system design skills are harder to outsource to the AI is because they require judgment and knowledge about the business requirements, the user needs, and long term maintainability. In the next lesson, you'll take a moment to reflect on your findings and preferences to choose the best path for you. So now that you know what employers are looking for and the career path that you are most excited about, you know what's your destination. But to get there, you also need to know where you're starting from. And to know that, you need to compare the requirements for your chosen career path with your current abilities. And listen, the goal here isn't to judge yourself harshly or feel discouraged by the gaps. Instead, think of it as an opportunity to create an honest inventory of what you can do and what you need to learn to get where you want to go. To help you do that, download the Python Developer Skill Roadmap worksheet from the supporting materials. The worksheet is designed around SMART criteria. SMART is a proven goal setting framework that helps you create objectives that are specific, meaning you know exactly what to do, measurable, which means you know when you're done, achievable, which means the steps are small enough to complete, and relevant, which in this case means that they improve job critical skills to get a developer job. Time bound means they are paired with your current target date. By structuring your skill development using these principles, you'll avoid vague intentions and instead create actionable steps that lead to measurable progress. The worksheet includes 5 columns. Skill is the specific area that you are evaluating. Current level is a number from 1 to 5. 1 means that you've just started encountering this concept. 3 means that you can use it in simple projects, but you still look things up regularly. And 5 means that you understand the concept well enough to explain it to someone else. Be honest about your current level. There's no benefit to overrating yourself. This whole framework only works if it really reflects the reality. Then we have job relevance, which means how important is the skill to get your desired role. For instance, required could be core Python skills that every developer needs. Nice to have could be things that are worth learning eventually, but it's not what will get you hired in the short term. Then we have next action, which is a concrete small step that you can take to improve. The next action column is where the SMART criteria becomes really important because instead of writing something vague like just get better at testing, you specify a concrete step such as complete the real Python tutorial on PyTest or write unit tests for my personal project. And then we have target date, which is a deadline basically. And putting this time boundary makes the whole thing more likely to happen. Once that your worksheet is filled, you'll have a clear view of exactly what to study next. In the next lesson, you'll learn how to rate your skills consistently so that your self assessment is as accurate as possible.